Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Blackboard Black Belts, a webinar where we will be focusing on tips and tricks and how to run the Blackboard system. If you're having problems and cannot hear my voice right now, please try to look into your audio settings under the audio options. And if you can't figure it out through that, please feel free to type in the chat box and either myself or the event moderator will help try to figure out what's going on. If you have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to a chat box, please right now scroll your mouse over my face and you should see a bar that comes up at the bottom of the Zoom screen. You'll see a little button that says chat underneath a little thought bubble. Click that and that's the place where we'd like you to interact tonight. So feel free to type any questions, comments, or concerns into the chat box and either myself, the event moderator, or Heather and Mara will be able to answer your questions. So without any further ado, let's welcome Heather and Mara as they present on Blackboard Black Belts.
Can you hear us?
How about now? Is this better?
Perfect. Sorry about that.
Great.
We're good with Blackboard.
So I guess we'll start over. We are your Black Belts and welcome to tonight's webinar about Blackboard. I'm glad you can all hear us now. I'm Heather Instazi.
And I'm Mara Almanzor. So we're both production coordinators for the Global Campus, and we work primarily with instructors on setting up their Blackboard course space. But with that said, we run into a lot of student questions that they try to answer. So tonight's webinar is all about answering those questions for students and how to navigate through Blackboard. So before we really get into anything, we just kind of want to get a feel of who's out there right now. So how many online students do we have right now? If you could just type in the chat box if you're an online student or if you're located in another campus or branch, or maybe even if you're a faculty member, please let us know. Cool.
So it looks like we have a couple online students.
An alum,
Great.
Cool.
And a Pullman student too, great.
Yeah.
Any faculty or staff?
No? Oh, one staff. Cool. Awesome. All right. We have a wide range of people here tonight. That's awesome.
Yeah, great.
Okay, cool. So I guess we'll get started then. We'll just share our PowerPoint and go through what we're going over. There it is. Can you all see our PowerPoint okay? Perfect. All right.
So to get started, we're just going to go over like an overview of what we'll talk about tonight. So we kind of have a couple different sections we'll be going through. So first of all, we'll let you know how you can get into your Blackboard course space and how to log in and everything. And then the next thing we'll be going through is how to navigate once you're inside your course space. And we'll be using an online course to demonstrate how you can do a variety of things. And as we go through, you're welcome to ask any questions at any time and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, and as she said, we'll be walking you through some things in Blackboard. So we'll probably be sharing our screen with you and going through our online course. So we'll be switching back and forth between our PowerPoint and an internet browser. Are there any questions right now or maybe specific things you guys wanted to go over? We just want to make sure that we don't miss anything in this whole little presentation we have prepared. Please let us know in the chat box.
Yes.
Also, we work mostly behind the computer screen and less in front of cameras or anything, so bear with us tonight.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we don't have any?
If there's no questions to begin with, oh, here's one. All right.
Cool.
Great. So I guess we can get started.
All right. Okay, so getting to your Blackboard course space, the only way to really get there is through the learn.wsu.edu link. Right now, I believe there's like currently in the works trying to get other ways to access Blackboard through My WSU like it used to be with Angel, but again, it's currently in the works. We're switching between new systems. A lot of technical things going on. With that being said, once you get to the link, you'll be able to log in by clicking on the WSU authentication link, which you'll be able to see pointed at in the left-hand screenshot in our PowerPoint. And once you click on that, it'll take you to a login page where you log in with your WSU network ID information, and you just log in like you would with My WSU. And that basically just takes you to another Blackboard homepage with the list of courses that you're enrolled in. And something to keep in mind, Blackboard 10, oh gosh, sorry. Actually, let me change it up. What kind of browser do you guys all use out there? Chrome? Yeah, I'm a Chrome user. Okay, cool.
So a lot of Chrome and Firefox.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, looks like we don't really have any Internet Explorer users, but Blackboard works like A-okay with Chrome and Firefox because those settings are just fine. And usually there's a little bit of technical issues with Internet Explorer, but since nobody seems to be worrying about that, there is a support page for Internet Explorer users on how to set up those options and things like that if you're having trouble. All right, now that we know how to get to Blackboard.
Is there any questions about how to actually log into Blackboard?
Okay, cool. So Heather's gonna talk about how to navigate.
All right, so our next section is all about navigating your Blackboard course space, and we'll be sharing our screen in just a moment to demonstrate quite a few of these things. So we're going to go over a basic layout of what your course looks like and how to access the content in your course, a lot of common examples of content that you might have trouble accessing. And then also we'll go through submitting assignments and looking at your grades and any other things that come up along the way.
Yeah, and something to note when we go through and share our screen with you, we'll be walking you through an online campus course space that we use to train faculty on how to use Blackboard. So the template might look a little different than what you're used to if you're located on a different campus, like if you're actually in Pullman and your instructor just uses Blackboard. But most of the features and functionalities that we're going to explain are commonly used within the Blackboard course space. They'll just be linked and located in different places.
Yep. So we'll go ahead.
If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and share our screen with you on our browser. Okay. Where'd it go? There. Oh. Okay. So on to Blackboard. Can everyone see that okay? Perfect.
So this page that you're seeing right now is the page that you'll see as soon as you log into Blackboard. And you'll see right in the middle, there's a My Courses area, and there's a list of courses down below, and that's where all your courses that you're currently enrolled as a student in will be. You might see, if it's at the beginning of a semester, you might see some courses from the previous semester, but usually about 2 weeks into the semester, those ones will be disabled from student viewing, so those will go away. So right now we're going to click on the faculty training course, and this is going to be our example course. So going into here. And so this is our homepage of the course, and if you ever need to go back and view your list of courses again, you can click on the My Institution tab, which is at the top left or top right of the page. And that will take you right back to the same page we were just at. You can also use where it says GC student in our example, but it'll say your name for when you're logged in. That if you click on that, it'll also show you your list of courses and you can access them from there. If that doesn't work for some reason, you can always just access it through the My Institution page.
And yes, as Kari pointed out, this function actually may not be available. They're currently working on it, is what we're told. So eventually it could be an option.
Hopefully it will be eventually again, but for now, just use the My Institution tab and that should be fine. So now that we're looking at the Blackboard course space, this is our example of an online course. And so on the left side, you see the course menu, and we have a lot of different things on there. And these are things that you will probably see if you're enrolled in an online class. You may not see all of these things if you're enrolled in a Pullman campus section, but this is where you access all of the content for your course. Like the lessons will be in the middle, and then you'll see your syllabus and homepage and everything. And then also toward the bottom, there's the Blackboard help section, and you can click on any of those links to see more information about Blackboard and maybe get some help with using specific features in Blackboard.
I tried to click on it to show you what it looked like, but it
Seems to be loading a little
taking
slow.
a long time. Oh, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
So yeah, there's some helpful tutorial videos and just articles you can look up if you need some help right there in the space. Okay. All right, so I'm going to walk you through some media things, but before we go into that, does this look familiar to a lot of you? Especially if you're an online student, this should seem familiar. Cool. Okay. As obviously, we don't really have any other course space we can show right now, but it's not really a concern because all of you are familiar with our campus online. Okay. So one common question that we always get is, how do I access my media? Why isn't my media working? And things like that. And media can range from anything being a narrated PowerPoint, a lecture video, or just a movie that the instructor wants you to watch. And most of these are found as a link in the lessons pages. So we'll go ahead and go into this first section because it is not available. Oh, okay.
Oh, I fixed that before I didn't fix it before I did this. So
right.
Maybe we won't be able to demonstrate it, but we can definitely tell you about what happens.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry about that. That's totally my fault.
No, it happens. Well, typically when you click on the link, it'll open up in a new tab. So that's usually the first troubleshooting advice we can give is make sure that your pop-up settings are allowing for new windows and new tabs to open up in Blackboard. And then once a new tab opens up, sometimes it'll ask you to log in again, and you'll just have to log in using your network ID information, and it's just like logging in the first time. And then usually that'll make everything work. And if it doesn't, then more than likely you should contact your instructor, and it's probably a setting that they'll have to adjust, or if not, they'll be the best person to know and to contact about it. Oh, and also, along with most media items, you'll find a transcript link next to it, and you'll be able to, if you prefer reading along or just reading instead of watching the video for some reason, you can just click on that, and that's available for you. Okay. Any questions? Who creates the transcripts? You guys? Yep. Well,
well, not us personally, but somewhere in our department, there is a team who creates the transcripts for the videos and the media items.
Yep. I'm not seeing.
It's possible that they just haven't been created yet and they're in progress, but you're welcome to contact the instructor or contact tech support, and maybe it'll eventually filter down to the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can imagine, we have a lot of videos that we have to go through, and
right.
Not enough people to get through all of them before the semester starts. Okay, so any other questions or concerns about media that you might have come across or have? Okay, no one's blaming anyone. All right, so next I want to walk you through how to, does the experience differ for browsers? I don't think there should be very many issues. It's the same kind of thing with pop-up blocker and settings like that. I haven't experienced much issues with media in different browsers other than the common pop-up and things like that.
I haven't used Safari very often. I know I usually use Firefox and Mara usually uses Chrome, and we both rarely have problems with those two. I'm not sure about Safari. If there's specific problems that you're experiencing, there may be settings that you can change to fix that, and you're welcome to contact tech support.
Sometimes they have a problem, recommend against it, but some people use it. Yeah, it's all a preference, but
Yeah.
it's likely it's a setting issue, and there's probably some kind of workaround. And if you want, you can just contact tech support, and I'm sure they'll have more answers for you, which we'll share that contact information at the end.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That's a
Yeah.
great question. I wish we experienced more with Safari users and things like that, but it's just not something that we run across that often. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to show what it kind of looks like to submit an assignment. And yeah, so I have a sample assignment that I'm going to upload into this final project presentation. And it's an assignment that in this course space, it happens to be located in the assignments location, obviously. And these little icons here with the paper and the pen, it's a symbol that means that it's a Dropbox submission. So if your instructor has an assignment like a paper or a PowerPoint that they want you to upload, you'll more than likely find it here and the instructions for that. So then if you click on it, you'll be able to upload it and read up more instructions. And I have a question. If you accidentally upload and submit the wrong file, is there any way to resubmit it? I believe that depends on the assignment and the instructor itself, because they can set it to be only allowing one submission or a certain number. So it would depend on your instructor, and you would have to contact them and let them know in cases where you're only allowed to submit one time.
That's right. So it depends on the settings for the specific assignment. Some assignments will allow multiple attempts. So you could just submit again, and then your instructor would see both submissions. Or you can also contact your instructor directly, and they can clear your previous submission. And then you'll have another chance to submit your assignment.
Yes, it should be very similar to Angel. And the save draft is save often. Yeah, and sometimes they'll let you know in the instructions themselves whether you're allowed to submit more than once. So Be sure to read the instructions.
Right.
And on this page, you'll also find when the due date is in a specific time and how many points, and you can review the rubric for any particular assignment in case
there's a rubric attached.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. So to catch it for you. Yeah. Okay. So you can either type up your submission, copy and paste it. I don't do that, and I haven't run into other people that do that. So
I think it's not the preferred method of submission.
No. So you would want to browse your computer and find the file that you want to upload. We'll upload my example and then open it, and you can write a little comment like, hey, here's my essay, or sometimes I like to put a comment like, here's my assignment. I feel comfortable with this stuff, but I kind of would like some more advice on this, and the instructor will like kind of keep that in mind and give you specific advice on how to improve later. But that's just me. Kari mentioned the comments. Do you have a specific question regarding the comments? Always seeing what I've commented. Well,
They should show up.
and we're having some display issues with Internet Explorer right now. If you're seeing this little where the submission is in the example document and the attempt in the grade little box thingy, this should be located in the right-hand side of this page. but usually your comments would be seen right alongside your assignment. So they should be able to see it, and in case they miss it, then you should probably just contact the instructor and let them know, or a TA. Sometimes it's overlooked. Yeah. So Internet Explorer, again,
We should switch browsers. It might be easier.
It might be easier. Would y'all mind if we tried switching browsers and showing you what things look like? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not sure what the settings are on this computer's Internet Explorer, but it doesn't look like they're quite right. So instead of messing with the settings, I think it'll be easier just to switch to a different browser.
Yeah. Usually our first tip is try another browser when you're having technical issues.
Yes.
And then the next tip is check your internet. Okay.
Switch.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have to share. Where'd it go?
Isn't that the one right underneath? Or no?
Is it this one?
No, it's not that one.
Let's try.
I think.
Where did it go? Okay, we'll try this real quick.
Okay.
Are you seeing the main course list? Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're using Chrome.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll go back. Only seeing the main homepage. Perfect. So we've gone back into the course space. Are you seeing the course space? Global Connections Monitor? Perfect. Okay. All right, so where were we? We were in assignments. Okay, so we're back here. And so I've already submitted my assignment, and you can see that it's generated a preview for you. So here's my example. And if the instructor wanted, they could download the document. Is this the rubric?
Yeah, this is a rubric.
So here's the rubric. Are you seeing the rubric? Cool. Okay. This didn't exactly work out in Internet Explorer.
So once an instructor has actually graded your assignment, if they use the rubric to grade your assignment, you'll see all their grades, like which levels of the rubric that they've selected for you, and that will all appear through this link.
Yeah. Actually, is there anything we should know about CrocDoc? Oh.
Oops. Just kidding.
Just
Back.
okay.
Close that.
Sorry about this, guys. Log in.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, what happened?
Oh dear.
Okay, we're back. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
All right. Do you know much about CrocDoc?
So the CrocDoc it's just like an inline grader. So it generates a preview of the document that you've submitted. It works best for normal document types like PDFs, Word files, stuff like that. And your instructor can use it to write comments directly on your paper in Blackboard instead of having to download it and print it and write it by hand and re-upload it for you. That's basically what it's used for, and it just shows you a preview of what it looks like. And we do have an example of what it looks like when there's comments from the instructor, and we'll get to that in just a couple minutes.
Yeah. Was there anything else with submitting assignments? Did you guys have any other questions in regards to submitting an assignment? Okay. All right, so I think Heather's gonna walk you through more about the grade. She's actually our little grade center expert. Okay.
All right, so to access your grades for a course, you'll click on the My Grades link in the course menu, and this will show you all your grades for this course. And I put in just some sample grades so you can kind of see what it looks like once you've had some items graded. You'll see that the final project presentation that we just submitted, it shows that yellow exclamation point, which means that it needs grading and it hasn't been graded yet by your instructor. So you'll just have to wait until your instructor has gotten to grading that before you'll see a score. I also mentioned that the inline grader, the CrocDoc that you were asking about, and if you go to Chapter 1 lab, when you click on the name of it, it brings you to any feedback that your instructor has added here. So you'll see that there's some comments here and then also some feedback on the right side, as well as your score. Sure. If you go back to the My Grades page, when you click on the name of the assignment, it'll give you more information about what feedback your instructor has provided. So we just clicked on where it says Chapter 1 Lab.
And if you'll notice, the link is a different color.
Yeah, it's hyperlinked instead of just a solid black. So then if you go back to the My Grades page, you can also see for the Chapter 1 lab, there's a little speech bubble next to the score. And if you click on the speech bubble, any feedback that was typed into the text box by the instructor will show up here. None of the inline grading will show up here, but just their overall feedback that they typed out in a paragraph for you will show up. So you can read that really quickly here.
It looks like Kari has another question. Can this be downloaded, the inline grading?
Possibly. If you click on there, let's see.
We could try.
It looks like you can, actually, if you click on the download button that's up at the top right above the inline grader.
Oh.
If you click on that, what does it do?
Let's try.
Yeah, you can say download file or download annotated PDF, and that should give you what you need.
Yeah. Any other questions, or did you want us to try to see if it works, maybe? Okay.
There might be a few more things in the Grade Center. Go back
yeah.
there, My Grades. So when you click on under weighted total, if your instructor uses a weighted total, you can click on grading criteria, and it'll show you what's being included in that and how many % each is worth. This should be in your syllabus, but if you just wanted a reminder of what is being included, you can always reference that. And if you close that, you can also, even before you've submitted an assignment, if your instructor has made a rubric available, if they happen to be using rubrics, you'll have a view rubric button. And when you click on that, it'll just open up here.
This one's a graded one.
Yeah, if it's been graded, the grades will show up already in it. But if it's before you've submitted anything and before it's been graded, it'll just be a blank rubric.
Yeah. And with that said, you should definitely give your instructor a little bit of time to grade it.
Yes.
I know of a few friends who've gotten a little overexcited and wanting to see their grades right away and concerned, why can't I see the feedback? Well, because the instructor hasn't graded it yet.
Right. And if you have a test, for example, if you click on where it says sample exam, you can view your score, and then where it says calculated grade and the number of points, 32, if you click on the 32 or whatever your score happens to be, it'll show you all of the feedback that you could have gotten on this test. So it kind of depends on what settings your instructor chooses. That determines what you'll be able to see. Like some instructors will allow you to see all the correct answers and your submitted answers. Some will just show submitted answers only, but anything that's available will be available here. I'm not sure if there's a setting to get emailed when something is graded. Do you know?
I'm not sure how I have this set up, but every night I get a little announcement telling me when there's new messages it's kind of like a little report of the day. So it tells me how many new posts there's been and how many things have been graded. So there's kind of that. Yeah, so you get that summary too. That's as far as I know that there's an alert. So
it might be something we can look into more. Yeah, you can probably change those settings in the notifications area.
Heather's taking a note.
I'll write that down to look into it.
Carrier pigeon. I would like a carrier pigeon.
That sounds great.
Some questions also in exams will have rubrics such as the short answer and the essay questions. So in the case of this exam, this question has a rubric that you can actually look at as well. So that's just something to keep in mind.
It just wasn't used in this case when grading, so
Yeah.
still shows up blank.
Cool. Okay.
Any other questions about the grade center or how to look at anything? If you go back to my grades,
Right.
You can also sort and your view by using the tabs at the top, and then there's also the drop down menu to look at the different order, to view your grades in a different order if you want. But other than that, I think that's it about the gradebook, unless you have any questions.
Okay, no questions. All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from this point on, I think we've covered all the things that you would find in most courses. And as we've said before, most things are depending on the instructor, the course, the campus even. And so some things to keep in mind when taking an assessment, for example. Some instructors like to have a timer, some don't. And when you do that, you should keep in mind that the timer is,
You can just say
Ready.
start new submission.
right, okay. So the timer is located at the top of the exam, but you should also keep in mind that the timer is there because it stays at the top of the exam. So you might be engulfed in answering all your questions, but you might forget that the timer is there. Was there?
It'll also show warnings when half the time, 5 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds are left. But it's not like a pop-up reminder or anything. It just, the color of the timer bar will change from yellow to red, or from green to yellow to red, and then it'll also pop up with little notifications just in the timer bar. It won't actually stop you from taking the test, and you won't see it unless you actually scroll up to see the timer. It'll say like how much time is left.
Yeah. And sometimes you can see the status of how many questions you've answered or where you are. And when you take the test or take an exam, the answers will typically save as you go.
Yes.
So
When you can click the save answer button, or after you've answered it, as you scroll down, you'll see like 10 seconds later or so, it will say answer saved, and it'll automatically do that. So if you accidentally lose connection in the middle of your exam, you should be able to go back into it and not lose any of your answers, as long as it's within the time.
Yeah. And as long as, I believe, forced completion.
Yes,
There's
depending on your settings.
Yeah, again,
from the
settings.
instructor.
So yeah. What other things?
If your course, let's see. Oh yeah, it is very helpful to have your answers be saved right away.
Yeah.
I really like that feature. If your course happens to have groups in it, you should be able to access your groups from the course menu at the very bottom, where it says My Groups, and you'll see right away what team you're in. For example, this student is in Team 2. And then when you open that, I think you're in a test, so I won't open it.
Oh, okay. Let me just exit the test.
Yeah.
And this little My Groups area will only appear if you're actually enrolled in a group. So if your course doesn't have any group discussions, then it won't show up.
Yeah. So if you expand where it says Team 2 here, you'll be able to see a direct link to your group discussion board. And that's probably the most commonly used group activity. So you can just click there and it'll take you right to your discussion board, and you'll be able to participate with all your group members.
Also, if you've left an exam without submitting it, it'll let you know.
Yeah.
Which is it's nice how many little notifications that Blackboard offers. Okay, so another thing that depends, it looks like Marie has a good question. Can you talk about the formatting in discussion board windows? Oh, yeah. Okay. Tissues. Okay.
So it sounds like there's some issues when you paste it in from Word, and it kind of depends on
backgrounds, yeah.
on what kind of font that you're pasting from and what the formatting is. I know that when you paste in anything from Word, it usually adds a bunch of extra code that's behind the scenes that you don't see, but it messes up the formatting.
Mm-hmm.
do you have any advice for how to have it not do that?
Well, if you just don't want the weird formatting things to happen, you could copy and paste into the message area, the text area, that's what it is. And then you could highlight all your text, and there's this button here. I believe it's called remove formatting. So it would get rid of all the wonky, weird formatting things and just make the text whatever the standard text format is in the discussions.
You could also open like a notepad document and paste your text in there and then copy it from there into Blackboard, and then it won't have any formatting at all attached to it. And then you can add spaces or paragraph breaks as you need to.
Yeah. I hope that
answers
the question. Where to?
Right, yeah. Or you could create it all in Notepad if you wanted to, but it's up to you.
Yeah. Usually when we're interacting with people in the course, or at least when I am, I do Notepad. I just write up my message and then copy and paste it. Yes. Is removing, I want to say yes, Control-Shift-V, but I also know that Blackboard does this weird thing where some of the shortcut buttons don't exactly work the way they should. What does the mashup tools thingy do? Let's, do you happen to know an official answer for Artemis's question?
Let's see. I've never used Control-Shift-V myself, so I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look up what that does.
Let's see. Oh, so that's what I meant by the weird.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not working. We'll look into it and then.
Let me write that down too.
Yeah. Because I know that keyboard shortcuts are super useful, and I personally love it.
Yes, me too.
So the mashup thingy.
Yes.
So
you can use it for a couple different things. We as production coordinators and also faculty can use these for adding content, and that's what it means here with the GC include content and GC media. So you don't really need to worry about those as students. You can use it to add YouTube videos. So if you click on a YouTube video, the YouTube video link under mashups, it'll allow you to search like in Blackboard for a YouTube video, and then when you select the one you want, it'll just embed that for you. It's pretty useful.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question about mashups? The YouTube thing was having some issues. Do you remember if those are resolved?
As far as I know, they're still working on it. Because for a while when we were switching over from summer to fall, we had the whole email hack thingy happening. So we had to update all our servers and update all our systems. And so some of our tools kind of got broken in the process. And the YouTube tool happened to be one of them. So that was something we could look into.
Yeah, I know they do have a plan for fixing it if it's not fixed yet. It's on their radar.
Yeah, we have a very long list of things to fix.
Yes.
All right, so any other questions regarding discussions? I attempted to.
Did you use the mashups tool, or did you just try to embed it using another option? Oh, okay. So the insert video tool, I think usually, I think you can just put in the URL and it should work. But I think there might be a better way to do it. I think the best, usually when I'm embedding a YouTube video, I either use the HTML code that YouTube provides. Under the video, you can choose embed and copy the code. And then there's the HTML link that's in your HTML editor, and you can just paste the code in there and it should embed it for you. You can also add a link. using the little chain link options, but it sounds like it wasn't quite working.
Oh, so you just had a video, just oh, I see your comment now. Non-YouTube video, yeah.
Oh, non-YouTube. I just saw the YouTube part, sorry.
Well, I know there's a lot of classes that are using other type of video sharing tools because of this specific issue with uploading directly to Blackboard. So I'm sure this is something that we've considered going into, content collection. Could that have been used?
Do students have access to the content collection?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
believe, like the mashups tool, how we have certain content things to add, that's mostly something that the production coordinators and things on the back end, behind the scenes people do. So I believe the content collection is part of that. I haven't experienced any time where a student has been able to or has even brought up questions about it. So that's a really good question. I'm sure we can look into that too. There's a lot of things we should be looking into. Tell me that lot is blocked from upload because of the hack. Yes, this is very true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of security things going on. Heather's making notes.
Yes.
Double hackers. Yeah, I agree. I've had some instructors email me saying, I'm sorry I couldn't email you back. Someone told me my email inbox was full.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for those. Okay. So where were we?
I think that was all the things that were on our list to go through today. Is there any other questions about things that we didn't cover or things you want to know? The best way to follow discussions. Can you clarify what you mean by that a little bit?
If in case you missed it, Artemis's question was, when we talk about discussions, what is the best way to follow them? I believe this is also a settings thing. Some instructors allow you, well, most instructors I think allow you to subscribe to specific forums. So a lot of times what I would do when I was taking classes online is subscribe to a specific forum, and then I would get that specific message sent to me.
Yeah, subscribing would be a good way to make sure that you're notified of all the new posts that are posted. You can also
what is the best way to find your responses? Sorry, to your own posts. That does the whole
right. The easiest way is probably just to go into the specific discussion you're interested in.
Marie had a good tip, searching your name.
Yeah, that's a good option. I never would have even thought of that.
Me neither, honestly.
If you go inside of a discussion, you should be able to look at just items from the thread that you started. So you can click on your thread and it should have everything underneath there too.
Those threads I want to follow. Yeah. What keywords work later? I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure they would, I would imagine. That's just something search engines do.
Yeah, I assume that they would. I haven't really used keywords with discussions very much. So I'd have to do some testing to find out. And you're welcome to try it out too and see if it works. But I don't know just off the top of my head.
Honestly, I was kind of a terrible student. So whenever I would post, I would just kind of forget about the forum and never go back to it.
Is that a new feature that you've heard of, Artemis, the keywords?
It's part of Blackboard search.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one. I'll write that down to look at too.
So we come across a lot of questions and things that students come across, but of course we handle a lot of the back end things, so we don't know everything.
Yeah, but this is great to give us some better idea of what else comes up out there.
And we'd be able to talk to our team more about what kind of things you think would be easier in the Blackboard course space and maybe implement those things.
Right.
Well, we're glad that you're out there and able to
Yes.
keep track of all these things.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Is there any other questions while we're still sharing our Blackboard screen?
All right. So I think we'll go ahead and go back to our we'll go back to our PowerPoint and wrap it up. This one?
No. No. That one.
There? Okay. Share screen. Okay. All right, so some useful contact information and that online support information that we promised you. So first, we just want to say, whenever you run into any kind of technical issues or any kind of issues with Blackboard, you should definitely contact your instructor first, especially if you're having issues with trying to submit an assignment or take a test. And before you contact any other support team, your instructor should know that you're trying to submit something and know that these issues are coming up. So they're the first line of contact that you should make. And you'll find the best way to contact them in the course space somewhere. Typically it's in the syllabus, but I have personally experienced when an instructor has put it in the forum with their own weekly message saying, hey, email me or call me, and they've given out their phone number. So you should definitely communicate with your instructor.
And after you've communicated with your instructor may contact our online support team, or you can contact them directly for a technical support issue. And we have their email address here as well as their phone number. It's just wsuonline.support@wsu.edu. And yeah, if you send features that you want to see to online support, they'll, if they can't answer it or give you an idea of when we might get that, or if it's something that we already have, they'll definitely escalate it to one of our other teams who can better address those and maybe potentially add them in the future. So definitely WSU Online support is a good resource for a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can also look at the Blackboard Help website, and the link is here, and you can write it down if you want to, or you can also just search Blackboard Help and their website should come up. It should be one of the first links. So that's also a good resource for help with Blackboard.
Yeah, and they have specific documents for students or any faculty that might have needed it. Mm-hmm. And we also showed you those links in the course space as well, in the course menu. And this last link here is the Blackboard outage report. So if we have a scheduled maintenance, you can go to this link or just go to lmstransition.wsu.edu and you can find the link there. But you can see when we're planning on having Blackboard down for maintenance, and then you can plan around that to turn in your assignment or study for your test and take it. Or you can see when something unexpected happens, so that way you'll know that it's not just you and it's all campus-wide or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be updated as soon as our team knows about an outage. So if there's something ongoing or something that's planned, it'll definitely be on that page. So definitely check it out. You can also add yourself to a mailing list that'll notify you through email when there's an outage, and that link is also on that outage history page.
Yeah. And I think unless any of you have any good resources or contacts that you'd like to share, that's all that we have for tonight to offer. Yeah. Well, thank you all for attending.
Yes, thank you.
And if you want to take a few minutes to go to this link and fill out a survey to let us know how we're doing and how to improve our future programmings, we'd really appreciate it. When will this be in Vault? I don't know specifically, and like the video Vault.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah. Okay, and I think that's all for tonight. Josh will take it away from here.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Heather and Mara. That was really informative. I hope that you all feel like you've reached black belt status in Blackboard. I know I have. As you asked Artemis, we will hopefully be showing the video on our video vault in 1 to 2 weeks. We will send out an email to all the participants that the video has been posted, so stay tuned. Yeah, I am copying and pasting that link right now into the chat. If you could just click on that, it takes about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes to fill out all the questions. I know Kari is super quick at it. She's got it down. So ask her. It's probably about closer to 30 seconds. But if you could fill that out, that would be excellent. That helps us out a lot when planning future programs. We do have an upcoming program on Tuesday. Our career counselor, Chris Miller, will be presenting on the resume coloring book, and you will be able to learn about what this free program does that WSU offers, and it helps you design and perfect your resume from scratch. I did it. I used it when I was a student, and it was a really fascinating and helpful tool. So I highly recommend it. You can register for it at connections.wsu.edu. Thank you all for joining tonight, and have a good evening.